Then even if you look at reactions of Venezuelans in the US, a lot of them are celebrating. Yeah.
Venezuelans in Venezuela also apparently on the ground are celebrating. But imagine you wake up one day and then tomorrow you find out, Lawrence Wong got arrested. And then Gan Kim Yong becomes Deputy Prime Minister.
Gan Kim Yong also be like, I just wanted to retire lah, okay? First you give me 20 task force to go and fucking hate. Then now I am de facto Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Again, if he and his administration are deciding what is right or wrong, then it's not based on any fucking rules.
There's a 𝗪𝗲 and a Terence in the new list of NMPs, right? You can be an MP and then suddenly want to become an MP.
Yeah.
Right.
And then according to 𝗪𝗲𝗪, it is entirely within the constitution.
It's legal.
It's legal.
But theology-wise...
Yeah, that's right. Don't be naive lah.
Theology-wise, does it apply? Do you know how Singapore uses feng shui in its skyline? Why we release millions of mosquitoes across the island every week? The dark stories behind iconic tourist attractions like 𝗲𝗏𝗏. You don't? Don't worry. That's exactly why Tell You First is back for Season 2. Tell You First is our other podcast where we dive into the most random everyday topics from history, pop culture, science, and even the weird things you Google at 3 a.m. Like how the rap song Why You So Like That changed Singapore's music scene forever. The best part is, only one of us knows the details, while the other is just vibing, guessing, and sometimes just embarrassing themselves. So you get to learn with us, all with a good laugh. And what's special about Season 2? Guest episodes are now on video. That means you can watch us get schooled by our awesome guests like Moona, 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏, radio DJ Ray, science educator BioGirl MJ, and many others. Our educational humiliation, all in glorious 4K. Want it fast? Head to the 𝗎𝗓𝗏 app and watch episodes the moment they drop. Or you can catch them 1 week later on the 𝗎𝗂𝗏 Entertainment YouTube channel. So do yourself a favor and use the link in the show notes, or search for Tell You First on the 𝗎𝗓𝗏 app, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And now, onto the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 𝗖𝗓𝗏, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How's the weekend, man? First weekend of 2026.
I feel like this is today, officially, the year really starts. Like this past weekend, even last Friday, even though we came to office and everything, it was still in the festivities of the new year and everything. And then, just only today then the year really starts. So Happy New Year again.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So what? You feel different also?
No, I basically have to put all that festivities and the merrymaking behind and just like get on with the year already. We're officially in 2026.
So you got your resolutions all set out?
Don't have that. I don't believe in resolutions. I believe in systems. Systems, not revolutions.
So you got
resolutions.
You got your systems all mapped out already?
No, not really. But I do have some goals, I guess, for the year. Anyway, obviously losing weight is always, every year that's a big goal. But I think a bit more resolute about it this year. More resolve this year.
More resolve. New. What's the saying?
Fresh, changed world, fresh team, new resolve.
Wow, cool, man. New resolve.
How was your last hurrah of the festivities?
Okay. I mean that same feeling. It feels like okay now Monday is the proper first week. Yeah. Last Friday it still felt like New Year's Day was the day before.
Yeah.
Friday we had to get the episode out and all. This weekend, like cleaning up the house and getting some stuff in order and all that.
Yeah, correct.
Systems in place.
Systems in
place.
Yeah.
It's a new year.
But I was waiting for a day like today where our podcast, the topics are pretty heavy. Like, this is 2026 already.
Yeah, new cycle begins.
Yeah.
And right off the back, with a huge topic that is just all over the internet, which we're also going to talk about.
Yeah.
But from a Singaporean POV.
Yeah, that's right.
And it is the news that as of Saturday, 3rd January, the US infiltrated Venezuela and captured the sitting president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, who has now been brought back to the US and is going to be tried in the US courts.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, that happened on Saturday. Early morning US time, which means Saturday night Singapore time.
Correct,
Yeah. How did you first catch wind of it?
Exactly that, through the news. Although I was going to say that was what was really confusing about it for me. I mean, I had known that the US had been, taking action against
Venezuela
boats, that they thought were, carrying drugs, right, in the region. But this is actual, the word you said captured the Venezuelan president, but in their own minds, at least the vice president and his team, he got kidnapped. So
vice president said kidnap. I thought the proper term you're using is arrested.
No. As in the vice president of Venezuela.
Venezuela. Okay.
So the people below Maduro himself have called it a kidnapping, right? So that's where I struggled to. What do you mean by they captured him? That means did they invade the country and capture him? But no, they didn't technically invade the country, right? They, like what you said, they attacked Venezuela and they captured him and sort of have taken him into custody. So is it a law enforcement operation? That means like police arrest a thief, that kind of thing? Or is it an invasion that happened? Is it like, capturing someone, or is it kidnapping someone?
Yeah. And I mean, the US did hold a press conference at 11 a.m. Florida time from Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. So it's damn funny. You see the stream on The Guardian, right? The first 1 hour, I think, while they're setting up the press conference, it's a view of the resort.
Yes.
So it's like, the lake and shit like that. Then after that, it looked like, it is the scene, the place where he also watched the attack unfold. But going back to what you said about what exactly is this? Because you talk about invade, like what exactly is an invasion? Technically, they went into Venezuela, but they had troops on the ground, but they also pieced out quite fast.
But they did bomb and attack.
They did bomb and attack a lot of parts. And I mean, the thing about whether it's a capture or kidnap, Marco Rubio himself said during the press conference that it's like an arrest. Which is why when there was a question about was the US Congress notified, he said this is not something that we could have gone to Congress because it was a trigger-based operation. And Donald Trump said if we went to Congress, there will be leakers because Congress is full of leakers.
Yeah. That's right.
So it felt like an arrest warrant.
Yeah.
In Singapore, you got arrest warrant to enter HDB flat.
Yeah.
This one, they had...
vaping, you got vape, you can come in.
Vaping.
The HSA officer can come in.
Yeah, this one, the arrest warrant was to go into Venezuela and arrest Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Because based on the US courts or the US jurisdiction, he has played a part in damaging narco-terrorism. So that's why, the thing about bombing the fishing boats, I think if people were looking at that as isolated incidents, right, they have very publicly been amassing like troops and ships in the region. But what I didn't know, which has been uncovered because the general went through like 10 minutes of what actually went down. This operation started like months ago. And they actually put CIA operatives in Venezuela. And they got someone within Maduro's close circle to like basically wiretap him. I mean, not wiretap, but he or she was close enough that they knew where he ate, his pets, where he went, and it was just like months long.
You never watch Narcos lah.
I haven't.
Then Narcos. So this is like Narcos in real life lah. Basically, like all these that you just described are basically there's a very big CIA presence in all the narco countries lah. But how they choose to exercise that power with their presence there, it's very nuanced. And that's what was fun about watching Narcos. But just watching this, I'm still blown away because this, I feel like, we talk about it with a lot of confusion about what terms to use and all. It's because everyone is, I think, also quite puzzled by what is happening. You talk about, it's not just the Venezuelans, right? But even the Congress itself and the politicians on both sides in the US, they also not very sure what is happening, and the legality of everything is being questioned as well, right? And Trump insisting that, this was it's almost saying that this was a law enforcement operation, but at the same time, we're going to run Venezuela, right? So those things are in direct contradiction with each other, right? Just arresting one person versus saying you're going to run the country. That's two different things.
Trump and his team feel like the people, in school who are like, oh, you need problem? Okay, I do. We will do it. Oh, got this one? Okay, we will do it. But in the end, they don't do shit. And this whole thing, like what you said is damn confusing because on one hand, you hear the press conference and all, they talk about it as though okay, he's a terrorist because, they define, I think, the Venezuelan government as a terrorist organization. Narco-terrorist. And because him being the head.
I think there's a specific term that they use where the government has its hands in the drug trafficking trade. Is something 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂 𝗪𝗂𝗪 or something like that.
And that's what they defined.
They defined that as a terrorist group.
So that's why I think, looking back, it feels like all the bombing of the fishermen's boats, right, were just part of a much bigger exercise to give the US enough justification to capture Maduro. Because they defined the organization, I mean the government, in what you mentioned.
It's called the 𝗪𝗟𝗟 𝗪𝗂𝗪.
And what's that?
It's basically a broad grouping of all the, basically a cartel, right? That includes also involvements of government officials in the drug trafficking trade.
And because he's the head of the government, he's seen as a narco-terrorist. So they are justifying that. And then they're saying that, fentanyl and all the drugs that have been brought into the US, it is still America first to go capture Maduro, because it means that America is safer. And the vast amounts of oil, this is also something I didn't know, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves of any country in the world. More than Kuwait, more than Saudi Arabia. So there is all the justification. And Trump very openly says that if the US oil companies will go in and spend billions of dollars, take billions of dollars out of the country and spend it on the country, and the people stand to benefit. So that, it's so confusing, the blatant, the brazenness of them. Then it's them confusing also about the reactions from politicians around the world and Singapore. Singapore, I mean, we put out a statement, but you get commentators like 𝗲𝗲 and Kelvin Cheng sharing their opinions, which we can get into. Then even if you look at reactions of Venezuelans in the US, a lot of them are celebrating.
Venezuelans in Venezuela also apparently on the ground are celebrating.
So then, as much as we have our own opinions, if at the end of the day, Maduro, who's been in power for I think 25 years, and by all accounts made the economy so much worse. I think their oil barrel production is at 20% of what it was years ago. The GDP per capita 25, 30 years ago was 4,000. Now it's 3,000, even after inflation and all. So it's a shit situation. So it's just this whole thing. I don't know what to think anymore. Because you look at all the commentators, of course on the left they're saying this is a grave injustice. But on the right, or generally neutral commentators, political commentators, they're saying, I mean, it's a good thing. International law, who enforces? No one enforces international law. And for the world, the rules-based order, the rules-based world order to exist, the US needs to enforce its might.
I mean, what you said earlier, right? We're not very sure what the reception on the ground is towards the arrest of Maduro, right? But it does have echoes of, the war on terror last time when the US invaded Iraq. And I think there was a lot of justification from both Bush and Tony Blair and all. For example, quoting Tony Blair saying, there's no doubt that Iraq, the region, and the whole world would be better off without Saddam.
Oh, that was what they said at that time.
That's what they said at that time. And we know what happened in Iraq and what has happened since then, or even the whole Middle East, right? Up to the withdrawal of US from Afghanistan and, people falling off planes while the planes were evacuating and all that, right? So, when I hear people say that, Maduro was terrible and the world is definitely better off without him around, I do get echoes of that. And it sort of sends chills down your spine knowing what happened in the 20 years after that.
But these are the Venezuelans themselves.
Correct. I mean, you could say the same in Iraq also. Brutal regime. A lot of people suffered under them. But the power vacuum that was left behind by the toppling of the Iraqi regime also led to a lot of suffering after that for the country, right?
But that's what Trump is saying they are going to not fall into, right? They are going to run the government in partnership with the vice president, who in another video said, what you said, is a kidnapping thing. But during the conference, Trump said Marco Rubio had a long conversation and she seems willing to work with them. If not, she will know the consequences. Which is damn scary.
So generally, it's just a lot of confusion on all quarters, right? Whether it's the Venezuelan side or even the European Union leaders, and then even Singapore's response, and even our response also. We're also not sure what to make of the whole situation, right?
But why you care?
Why I care? I mean, you think about Singapore's very strong response to Russia when Russia invaded Ukraine. We had very clear sanctions, financial sanctions, and other kinds of sanctions on Russian entities, right? And very strongly condemned it. I think Vivian Balakrishnan talked about the rule of law and how it protects small states like ours, right? So in this case, the US sort of, I don't know what you call it, invading Venezuela, or claiming that they're going to run the country, like, essentially.
Yeah.
And by decapitating the government, right, at the head. What's our appropriate response here? What, sanctions on the US? Not possible, right? We have very strong trade relations with the US. So yeah, I was also very interested to hear what Singapore's response would be, but I would say that the press statement doesn't offer much, right? The press statement really, to me, was just essentially just saying that Singapore is very concerned by the US intervention. And that we are
gravely concerned.
Yeah, gravely concerned. We are deeply committed to international law, but there was no mention of condemning what the US did at all, right? Just saying that everyone should, we urge everyone to exercise restraint and hope for a peaceful resolution. But again, no condemning of what the US did. So in some sense, this is a statement that's sort of like, they're still also assessing the situation, not very sure, right? So we are all in the same boat, to say.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure even the Russia sanctions came after a while, right? It wasn't the moment Russia invaded, right?
Yeah, not a moment.
Yeah. But I mean, so that was the official response. Then you have commentators like, of course, 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗁, someone who I don't agree with a lot of things. But once in a while, okay, he says something that is thought-provoking. But when he posted about Venezuela, I mean, he bore reference to when the US invaded Panama and captured their de facto ruler Manuel Noriega in 1989. He was brought to the US, indicted, tried and sentenced to 40 years in prison. And then talked about the Monroe Doctrine, which, what I understand, is just a doctrine by President James Monroe in 1823 that kind of says that the US considers any intervention in the affairs of the Americas as a hostile act, and only they can take action. So the whole, the Western sphere of influence, and I can't remember who popularized this thought that the world is going to be in three spheres. You have the US in the West, Russia in the East, and Europe in the middle. Everyone else just has to follow along.
Yeah.
So, and then he went on to kind of like say stuff that the US is still the preeminent superpower in the world, and those who believe in BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, or China's as a credible military rival to the US are simply deluded. And in some sense, that if whatever the US do in their best interest is in our best interest. And 𝗲𝗏 said the same thing. He contrasted between, using theology and pragmatic reality. Basically, what I gathered was, don't be so naive to think that the US needs to obey the rules, because if they don't impose themselves, there will be no rules. And don't be so naive, essentially.
I thought his writing, I thought it could have been much simpler. When I read what he was writing, I felt like, why is it sound so complicated? So how would you simplify it? Theory versus practice law. Theory, international law is good, but practice is
must use theology.
So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes to me, like writing, maybe it's this post also wasn't meant for lay people like myself, right? But yeah, it just took me much longer time to understand the quite a simple point that he was putting across that needed to be.
We may regret the reality of the jungle world, but cannot afford to ignore it by focusing on theology.
Yeah.
Right. But that's why we're not diplomats.
That's why we're not diplomats. That's why we're not academics.
When we had 𝗲𝗏𝗁𝗁 on our podcast, I also was like, I found it refreshing that he was like, what is diplomacy? Don't give me all bullshit. Diplomacy means play nice. The world works in a certain way, and we better understand it. But then, right, when I read posts like this, I guess why I feel very annoyed as a Singaporean is that when you have people like 𝗲𝗏𝗁𝗁 and 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗁 who sort of imply that this is the way the world operates. Don't be so naive.
Yeah.
It also feels like, I know, like when regular citizens who seem like we really have no part to play in this world because it's just run by the big shots, when people voice out, 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗁 especially, will also condemn people who voice out and, become activists and try to push for rights of the common person and all, which is annoying because I honestly feel like, then what is all this talk of, all this kumbaya amongst countries working together, the social compact that everyone plays a part in making the world a better place? Fuck all that shit, because we don't have a part to play.
Might is right now.
Yeah, and it feels like we've just been strung along, and maybe the Trump administration is doing something that has always been happening, but they're just more upfront. And then you look at it, you're like, hey, Actually, then when politicians talk to us about saving the world, being environmentally conscious, why the hell should we care?
Or even caring about law.
Huh?
If we don't care about international law, which is what I gather 𝗬𝗪 and 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵 are essentially saying, right?
Yeah.
The international law for small states like us actually doesn't hold water, right? If we don't care about the law, then why should we care about how important the court systems are or justice system in Singapore?
Contempt of court.
Exactly. My point is I want to stick to the law. I want to respect international law. I want to be able to say that, there are higher value system or ethical systems that we are trying to adhere to. And the law helps us put that in place. And even as a small player in an international system, we should try and respect it as much as possible. Right? But if people are just saying essentially, that's naive.
It's naive.
Then what is the point? Why are we spending so much time debating all these, everything about, contempt of court and justice system and how important it is? Like, what are we teaching our children also, right? About these things, about that just being the bully that is the reality of it. The big player is the bully and he's gonna rule the world. And you just suck it up. You go and tell teacher for what? No use, right? No use to tell teacher. You go and report to school for what? Call police for what? No use also. As long as you're the bigger bully, that's the reality of things.
Yeah.
So that's where I also am quite surprised by 𝗬𝗪's such a quick take on it, right? That I feel like we barely even have understood the real situation, like who is because it's not even just about the US took out Maduro and that's it already. But after that, if they're going to do what Trump said and run the country and everything, they would need to partner with somebody, all right? And they've not indicated whether it's the vice president or the opposition leader or what that they're going to partner with for this. What does it mean to run a country? So there's still a lot of question marks in the air about what's happening after that, and people trying to get information on the ground and what people think.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm just puzzled that people can so quickly come to a conclusion that this is just how it is, and it's a good thing for Singapore that that we're on the US side and all.
Yeah. Because at the same time, if the new administration after Trump, he's not going to be in power all the time, right? If for some reason they got problem with Singapore, then what? Then we say, where the rules-based order? Where is the United Nations? And I mean, maybe what 𝗬𝗪 is saying is the way the world has always been working. But then don't come and tell regular citizens that we have a part to play. Like what you say, follow the law and follow all this. Maybe be blatant. Okay, like if you are influential and powerful, law is different for you. And that's the way it is. You suck it up. If you're billionaire, we can give you a pass. If you're millionaire, bit more of a pass. If you're not even millionaire, too bad. You suck it up.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the conflict. We are being told this message as citizens, but when it comes to the way the leaders act, it's always America first. Or whatever small state, we have to think about a small state. And that's why it feels like, I just feel gross. There's something weird and dirty about it.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is also, you watch the press conference, it's not just Trump, right? When I hear the the general talk about the whole operation and how, a spectacular military exercise it was, it almost feels like I'm watching something from World Wrestling Entertainment. It's 2026 and America is back, and just carrying Trump's balls and everything. I'm like, I thought this was they would analyze the military operation and all, but it was really, again, about drumming up Trump's leadership and everything in this whole thing, and how the War Department is ready to, bring peace to the world, which is the most oxymoronic thing to say.
Right? And I mean, it just, if you look at the scale of the operation, we haven't even spoken about that. Whenever it seems he was captured and brought on a helicopter back to New York, there were 150 aircraft that flew in from 20 different countries.
Yeah.
At 20 different US bases. I think one of, if not the biggest US Navy warship was in the Caribbean, all stationed. And you look at it, probably no other country that can do this, no matter the size of the army, because the US Army apparently has always had operations since the end of World War II.
Yeah.
So they are combat active. It's not like Singapore reservists. We know the theory, but practice is fuck all.
We are strong. Our army is a strong
bang,
force.
Bang, bang, aye. For those who haven't gone to NS, that's an NS reference.
Yeah.
But it just feels very odd. And I don't know, like what you said, right? Vivian Balakrishnan, to his credit, was very, and the MFA's credit about the Russia-Ukraine war. Even when it comes to Gaza and Israel, there were some things they said that, okay, felt like, hey, they are taking a stanza.
Yeah.
But for this, because it's the US, because the Trump now, it's like fucking king lah. Because there were a lot of things that could go wrong with this operation also, right?
Yeah,
but
so
it went exceedingly well lah.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you think about, okay, what does it mean for the US going forward? There's some talk also about, will this lead to China invading Taiwan and all? I think that's a lot more complicated also. But you also get sideshows like the wife of Stephen Miller, one of Trump's aides, right?
Yeah.
Sharing a photo on social media with Greenland covered with a US map.
Yeah.
And saying soon.
And pissing Denmark off.
That's right. And Trump has also said before, right? He's hinted that, Greenland.
We should annex Greenland.
Yeah, should annex Greenland, talking about, Canada. So if you were leaders of these countries, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
One thing that Marco Rubio also said is that if Trump says something, he means it, And then you look at this whole Venezuela thing, how that is panned out, it's like, oh shit, really? There were so many things in place that was happening behind the scenes, that was happening publicly, almost to shape public opinion to think that, Venezuela actually is so messed up. They're bringing so much drugs, so that when the thing does happen, which I mean, to their credit, is an insanely brilliant operation.
Yeah, I mean, Denmark, literally, the Prime Minister has called on the US to stop threatening Greenland. So, I mean, it's this whole thing is escalating.
It's crazy,
tensions, right? Yeah. And not just between US and Latin America, but even in like the EU and all. But I mean, it just, we talk about this that's happening miles, thousands of miles away and everything, thousands of kilometers away. But imagine you wake up one day and then tomorrow you find out, Lawrence Wong got captured,
arrested,
whatever, and brought away to the US and all. And then Gan Kim Yong becomes deputy prime minister. Well, what level of confusion do you think you'll be feeling?
I mean, damn confused lah. Gan Kim Yong also be like, I just wanted to retire lah. Okay, first you give me 20 task force to go and fucking head. Then now I am de facto prime minister.
Yeah. But I mean, it would totally be. We would totally see it as a hostile act, lah, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, whether or not you voted for Lawrence Wong or you support Workers' Party or whatever, it will be a hostile act on Singapore, an invasion of Singapore, right? An invasion of the sovereignty of Singapore. So that's where I'm trying to, just, have that, just do that mental exercise, right? Like, what if this was happening in Singapore? Like, how would we be responding to it, right? And that's where I'm like, okay, I mean, regardless of what you feel about Maduro and everything, just this action by the US we need to examine whether it's something that we want to support, whether it's legally or even like in a theology, right, as 𝗲𝗏 said, right.
But then if you think about it, let's say if Lawrence Wong is kidnapped and all, at the end of the day, Singapore has a very good standing in the world. Right? And Singapore citizens, we're not waiting like with bated breath for Lawrence Wong to step down, right?
I mean, it depends on where you voted during the election.
Correct.
Right?
35%. But even then, right, I don't think, I would likely say majority of Singaporeans wouldn't want him to just be like captured for Singapore to be released.
Yeah.
Which is also what I've heard the counter to, will China invade Taiwan? Even if they want to, Taiwan right now, they play such a strong role in the global economy, especially that's AI powered, right?
Yeah.
But for Venezuela, then you get the side, if at the end of the day, you have 8 million Venezuelans who have left the country out and spending time outside because they saw no future in their country. The country is like wrecked with poverty, and Maduro has been responsible for a lot of it. So by the US taking him out, isn't it for the greater good, Terence? Then that argument, because that's where it's different. Like Venezuela, I think by all accounts, Maduro not seen as the best leader by the Western world because he also lost an election but still remained in power. So I think a lot of Western countries don't even recognize him as the leader in charge.
Yeah.
So that's where it feels like, but then if we are kind of judging him morally for what he's doing, okay, now you can argue for a greater good, but it depending on whose morals.
Yeah. But again, you go back to the example of Iraq again, right? Saddam Hussein, brutal, evil dictator and everything. But his removal and his downfall essentially led to this power vacuum where all these old feudalistic tribes came up and basically were just fighting for power again, right? And that caused more suffering, more conflict, more a much worse situation for people, right? I mean, could you say, the world is better off without Saddam Hussein? Maybe. But who's taking his place? That's the big question mark, right? So, and there was clearly no solid plan in place when that happened in Iraq. And you can read about, I've read a couple of like books about accounts about people who were there when everything went down, and it was a shit show, right? And it was humanitarian crisis and everything also.
Yeah.
So is the world better off for that? I mean, you talk about 8 million people abroad, but people in Venezuela, I'm not sure yet, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, anybody who just comes out and says that, for sure, surely the world is a better place now that such an evil person is gone. Really, you have examples to look at in history, and that's all we can really look at, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the defining also what is bad, of course some things, if people are dying generally is bad, but when you talk about who decides the morals, because apparently there was one question that was posed to Trump during a conference about the former president of Honduras, the Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was actually convicted in the US federal court in 2024 on drug trafficking and related charges. So, I mean, in some ways similar to what Maduro might be tried for. The jury found him guilty of conspiring to import cocaine, and he was sentenced to 45 years in prison. But you know what happened in December 2025?
He got pardoned.
He got pardoned by Donald Trump, who said that he was very unfairly tried, and the Biden administration was very unfair to him. And for a bunch of other reasons that he has explained, he pardoned this person. So again, if he and his administration are deciding what is right or wrong, then it's not based on any fucking rules. And there's nothing so I don't know, man. Like, just as a citizen who runs a podcast talking about news, it feels like, why the hell should we care? Why the hell should we, do our part to recycle? Because at the end of the day, what role do we play, Terence?
Only to quote our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of all countries, big and small, must be respected. Singapore takes any violation of these core principles seriously, as they are fundamental to the survival of Singapore, a small state. And that's our statement about why we impose sanctions on Russia, right?
But nothing of that, as of now. Which we give them some benefit of the doubt. Maybe in a few weeks' time they will say something similar. But there was this one interview on this channel called Leading British Conversations, where the chief secretary to Keir Starmer from the UK was being interviewed by the host, and basically the host was saying, okay, do you think what Trump did was wrong? Do you think what his administration did was wrong? And the press secretary was so okay, we have to wait for the legalities, for the legal research to be done. And I mean, the interviewer called him out and said, you almost sound scared. And he pointed out that if it was Russia or China doing this, the UK would probably be the first, if not second, to be like, we condemn this. So then it feels like, this is the way the world is really working. Trump is king. And everybody is bending the knee.
2026, America is back.
America's back. They play the theme song, then they run in
Mar-a-Lago.
And it's just weird. That press conference is very weird.
It was weird, man.
And I mean, it was held at 11 a.m. The operation, I think, finished at 3+ a.m. So all of them on very little sleep also.
No, and apparently Maduro, a few hours before he got captured, he was meeting an envoy from the Chinese government as well. So it was he was in a suit and then, meeting government officials from China and all that. And then 3 hours later, he's captured.
But I mean, I don't know how much that had to play, because they actually wanted to do this earlier.
Maybe
earlier
they waited until the Chinese
it was bad weather.
Oh,
it was bad weather. Bad weather in Venezuela for a week.
Wow.
Which is not good for the air operations. But you can imagine, I think the MAGA will support this.
But the crazy thing is that CNN also did analysis on the claims that Venezuela is a drug trafficking threat as well. And I mean, according to CNN, it's much less of a threat in drug trafficking compared to places like Colombia, Peru, Ecuador and all. Even in terms of just the flow of drugs through there, is less than 10% of the global trade for cocaine as well. So is it really that big a threat? Or is it, other bigger incentives like oil and everything?
One thing I also learned is that the oil in Venezuela is especially relevant to the US because For oil, getting oil from the ground, there are 3 types of oil: heavy, medium, and light.
Yeah.
So Venezuela, most of the oil is heavy.
Yeah.
And most of the refineries in the south of US around Texas are heavy oil refineries. And the 2 biggest sources for heavy oil is Canada and Venezuela. Yeah.
Wow.
It just like it feels like Trump so openly saying that the US, the greatest petroleum companies, will come in and take billions of dollars out of the ground and give it to the Venezuelans. Just feels like, you know what they want.
Not bad, 𝗪𝗲. This is the most I heard you talk about Venezuela. The only time I hear you talk about Venezuela is like Miss Universe. Only Miss Venezuela. That's the only thing you ever talk about Venezuela.
I was wondering while, I was informing our listeners about the different types of oil, you had this smirk on your face.
Yeah.
Like if you're listening or watching, you go back and rewind. Oh, it probably won't show your smirk because it'll be on me because I was talking.
It'll be on you, yeah.
Fuck, maybe we should keep that in just to show the smirk.
Maybe.
I was wondering what the hell has Terrence up his sleeves.
The only time that I hear 𝗪𝗲 talk about Venezuela is like in reference to who won Miss Universe or Miss World and everything.
I mean, did he win recently?
Don't know, but they're always one of the top few, right? Venezuela's like always like confirmed top 5 in Miss Universe or whatever. Right?
Yeah, correct. Miss Universe, I think
pulling up your search history your search history on Venezuela always ends with like Miss Universe.
They're like the Brazil of Miss World and Miss Universe.
The Brazil, the footballing equivalent is Brazil.
Always in contention.
The Brazil football team of Miss Universe.
The last they won was 2013. Oh shit!
That's quite a while. But they're always up there,
they have 24 total wins at the Big 4 international beauty pageants, 7 Miss Universe titles, 6 Miss World titles, 9 Miss International titles, and 2 Miss Earth titles.
So actually,
totally irrelevant.
But Trump should know Venezuela well, right? Because he's got ties to Miss Universe contests.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But they have a whole industry that produces beauty queens. Oh man.
Interesting.
Oh, Venezuela. Hello there. If you're new to 𝗪𝗲, welcome. We cover the news from every angle, no matter how controversial. And we're going to keep creating the best possible content for as long as possible. So it would mean the world to us if you could hit the subscribe button down below. It's free and it'll really help this podcast continue to grow. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being part of our journey. If you've been listening to us for a while but haven't yet subscribed, all I can say is, why not? I mean, it's free and it'll take like 2 seconds. So just do it now. Come on, just do it. Just do it. Okay, I'm not going to stop until you do it. All right, done? Okay, great. Thanks.
Venezuela, they've got a stranglehold on producing beauty queens. But we, Singapore, we have a stranglehold on producing this select group of people, a very elite group, right? Who every 5 years or so, there's always 9 new ones or maybe 8 new ones, depending. Who are this group of people that just got revealed to the public?
They are none other than the nominated members of parliament, which were revealed on January 2nd, a day before the Venezuelan fracas. 9 incoming NMPs out of a total of, I think, 57 who were proposed, including independent candidates from GE 2025, Jeremy Tan and Ďaryl Low, and also a former guest of 𝗪𝗲, Prof. Wadid. But the 9 that were announced don't include any of those 3. But there's a list of 9 of them who will be sworn in by Tharman at the Istana on January 8th. So then the next sitting of Parliament will be on January 12th, where they will take their oaths and affirmations. So, Terrence, how excited were you to see the news of these 9 being announced?
I was excited to see any of the independent candidates, or Wadid might be one of them. They were not. And honestly, I was not surprised either that they were not selected. But the other thing was quite interesting about this announcement was the fun fact that, and people already have pointed out, there's a 𝗪𝗲 and a Terrence in the new list of NMPs, right? But completely different 𝗪𝗲s and Terrences.
Exactly. There's a Dr. 𝗪𝗲 and Professor Terence.
Dr. 𝗪𝗲 𝗲𝗏 and Professor Terence. Already just from the first word, so much more accomplished than us.
Yeah, they're like, which Terence you want? Of course, Professor Terence lah. Which 𝗪𝗲? Of course, Dr. 𝗪𝗲 lah.
And then the Dr. 𝗪𝗲 𝗲𝗏, handsome doctor, you know.
Yeah, quite well built and all.
Well built. You go on social media, he can rap and everything.
Yeah, lah, what to do? That's why we are just talking to each other.
He's a much cooler 𝗪𝗲, I have to say. 𝗪𝗲.
Hey,
that
Professor Terence also looks pretty cool.
A lot of media appearances. He's got his own website, 𝗪𝗲𝗏.org.
Yeah.
A list of all his media appearances. And I believe I have seen him like on Channel News Asia interviews and all before.
Yeah, so he's what you could have been if you studied harder.
He's accomplished. Yes. But the Dr. 𝗪𝗲 is cooler than you. That's what I'm saying, 𝗪𝗲. He's cooler than you. That's more important.
Whatever you define as cool lah. Dr. 𝗪𝗲. Some more spell the same. 𝗪𝗲 some more. Normally it's
exactly
𝗪𝗲.
It's exactly the same. And even the Terence, sometimes, you know, there's two R's or whatever. Yeah, but this one is the same T, R-E, and C-E. Yeah. So it's like, it's written in the stars. It's like, I think maybe they purposely, 𝗂𝗏𝗏 purposely, or just want to like...
Yeah, that's why rile us up.
Rile us up. How we'll get 𝗪𝗲 there.
Hey, I mean, don't take anything away from the NMPs lah.
Okay, let's sidetrack. We sidetracked a bit too much. Yes.
Yeah.
But back to them, yes.
Yeah, but so...
Were you surprised by any of them? Or?
I mean, I was hoping for either Daryl, Jeremy, or Walid to get in, only because it'd be a different kind of NMP lah.
But you had hope that they actually stood a chance. No, like
I was naive, Terence. I was naive. Like Bila Hari says, I was naive. I was hopeful. But if you ask me to put theology aside, I knew that it would be a tough one. Tough one.
Yeah. Because I mean, literally, the independent candidates just ran against the incumbents, right? The government and everything.
Yeah.
So why would you put someone who just ran against you and you know that they will be speaking up against a lot of your own policies and all that? Why would you select one of them to be impartial NMPs? That's what NMPs are supposed to be, right? They've kind of demonstrated that they are not impartial already that way, right?
Hey, but Terence, once you become an NMP, automatically you're impartial. What are you talking about? Come on, man, please. Do not disregard the sanctity of the NMP scheme.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah. No, but please. I'm not disregarding it. In fact, maybe what I'm saying is that the committee behind the selection is doing its job of actually saying that these people cannot possibly be impartial just by virtue of their political efforts in the past year. Okay,
maybe, but the independent candidates, they are not tied to any party. In fact, they would be, you could argue they are more impartial than other, they're independent. They're independent of mind.
Possibly, yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, we've actually had a good track record of getting rejected NMPs or soon to be rejected NMPs on Yalabat.
Quite a number of them, yeah.
𝗪𝗲, Paul Tambaya, Jeremy, Walid.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, at the end of the day, these 9 people, okay, just very quickly, there is Mr. 𝗪𝗲 𝗏𝗏, who's the executive chairman of Enercon Asia. There's Associate Professor Kenneth Goh Toh Guo Chuan, who is also the Singapore Aquatics President. Dr. 𝗪𝗲 𝗲𝗏, who is a family physician at National University Polyclinics. Associate Professor Terence Ho, who is an academic and university administrator. Miss Kwa Boon Ting, Managing Director of Legal Clinic LLC. Mr. Mark Lee, Chief Executive of Singlun Holdings. Dr. Neo Kok Beng, Founder and Chief Executive of Neo Aeronautics. Professor Kenneth Poon of NIE. Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, who is the General Secretary of the Amalgamated Union of Public Employees and National NTUC Central Committee member. So just hearing those names, what sticks out to you?
One thing sticks out is there's no one from the arts scene, arts and culture scene, right?
Yeah.
Because these people are people who have made notable contributions in work, community, and society, as what Indrani says. But very, very expressly, I think even in the selection process, right, they state that they do want people who are have distinguished themselves in the art scene, right? In the field of arts and letters, sports, culture, sciences, business, industry, profession, social or community service, or the labor movement. So I see a lot of business, I see a lot of science, I see a lot of labor movement, professions, social community service, I guess you would say so. But arts and letters really, sports, yes, but arts and letters, zilch, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a bit like peeved that's the case.
Yeah, because previously I think there was, right, at least one or two people.
Yeah. There were,
I mean, when I look at the list, of course, they're all accomplished and all, but sometimes people who are accomplished and conventionally successful and all, their opinions, not to disregard the opinions, but I don't know. I feel if we really want an NMP scheme that is robust, that really tries to get as many constructive opinions as possible, you need someone from a non-conventional path. Of course, you could argue 𝗬𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗃 𝗏 is the founder and chief executive of Neo Aeronautics, which is a Singapore-based company that is, I think, making like flying taxis.
Yes.
Yeah, which, I mean, okay, non-conventional. But I don't know, man. And some people already have pointed out there's only one woman.
Yeah.
Good mix of like races and all. But it just feels like it's more of the same.
Yeah. But let me just correct myself. I think in the last parliament, the 14th session of parliament, all right, the 14th parliament of Singapore, in terms of arts and culture, the only ones that were the only NMP that could qualify as arts and culture, I think it was Janet Ang, who was the 𝗪𝗔 chairman. I don't know if that qualifies for arts and culture or more business, right?
I thought there was one more who was in the same batch as Harun.
Who was what?
I think from arts and culture.
𝗪𝗲 𝗏𝗏, no, right?
No, not Raj. I will find it and let you know.
But as far as I know, there hasn't been one that's very prominently in the arts and culture space. Yeah. So it's been a while, basically.
Yeah. So let's see. It was. I will find the name, but I do recall there was one or two, at least one in the arts. But this list. I mean, okay. So hopefully they will be useful and bring up contrarian talking points and all.
Usha Chandra.
Yes.
Chandra,
correct.
That's
Plural
right.
Art Mag co-founder.
I stand corrected. Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
Yeah. She was in Harun's batch, and she came in from the media and art scene.
Yeah. Correct.
So I think she was she had a master's degree in Asian art histories and ran a magazine in the arts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this case, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, is it exciting? Is it interesting?
But I mean, given the whole fiasco with 𝗪𝗲 𝗏𝗏 and Harun already, did you have a lot of do you think people are looking forward to these NMPs, being able to basically really hold their own in parliament and being able to speak impartially about everything?
I mean, first of all, I don't know how much people who, citizens who don't make a living talking about politics, how much they actually care about NMPs.
Yeah.
How much they know about the scheme.
Yeah.
How annoyed they were that Harun ended up running after stepping down.
Yeah.
I don't think many people care. So in this case, I don't think many people also have much of an opinion about these 9 and what they're going to say, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the whole thing with Harun and 𝗪𝗲 𝗏𝗏, it only blew up because that they were running for politics, all right?
One of them.
One of them eventually ran. Both dropped out, but only one of them ran in the election. And like you were mentioning earlier, that he suddenly became from impartial to partial. Right?
Overnight, he just woke up.
Overnight, But so I think that was the bigger thing that people were debating. But nobody was really looking at the performance in Parliament or what they spoke up for and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, even for ourselves, we don't watch a lot of what NMP speeches are and all.
Yeah.
Unless someone points out that they're really interesting or what. Although we've had
𝗪𝗲, right?
𝗪𝗲 on before, and she spoke about a lot of the important things that she did push through in her term, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, people don't regularly follow what NMPs say or do, right?
Unless they have a speech that goes like semi-viral. I think in the past, the 𝗪𝗟 NMP, she had a few speeches that people were sharing and all.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I honestly don't know how much people care about the scheme, and like Harun and 𝗪𝗲 𝗏𝗏 stepping down and ended up running. In my eyes, it really compromised the integrity of the scheme because I'm looking at this list. Of course, part of me is like, who amongst them might end up running?
Yeah.
There's only one returning NMP, the Mark Lee.
Yeah.
But everyone else is new. Is this a stepping stone to politics? Is it a trial session for Parliament? You know, when you want to go yoga class or something, there's a trial session.
Yeah.
You can get a trial pack. Maybe the NMP is now a trial profession.
But that said, there was 𝗬𝗲𝗧. He was on the committee, the select committee as well, right? So there is a presence even of the opposition parliamentarian as well.
Yeah.
But again, we can't rule out the possibility that one of them has political ambitions, because it has been proven in the past that you can be an MP and then suddenly want to become an MP.
Yeah.
Right.
And then according to 𝗪𝗏𝗻, it is entirely within the constitution.
It's legal.
It's legal.
But theology-wise.
Yeah, that's right. Don't be naive.
Theology-wise, does it apply? How do I use the word theology? Like how's 𝗪𝗲𝗀 saying it? The policy of theology, or the doctrine, or the what?
I mean, like theology.
The foreign policy of theology.
And the foreign policy of practical diplomacy.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So next time I got argument with my family also, I'm like, please, okay, don't be naive.
Yeah.
There's a difference between theology and practical diplomacy when it comes to family relations.
That one sounds like it's going to kill your family in your next family dinner. It's going to end up in Royal Rumble.
No, because that's sometimes what I hear, right? Like, yes, ideally this, but like we had to do this because we never involve you because of this, and all that kind of stuff, which is nonsense. But yeah.
Interesting. Wow, 2026. America is back.
America's back.
And so is...
so are the NMPs.
So the NMPs are back.
NMPs.
Yeah, please. NMPs, I think, congratulations to all of them. But please stay the term, right? That's all we ask. Stay the term and don't quit halfway and do this strange thing of like suddenly becoming partial and everything. Just finish the term.
I mean, you can have cooling periods for people who sell private property, want to go HDB 15 months and all. There should be some sort of self-imposed cooling period for NMPs also.
Correct.
Yeah, just we're watching. Okay, today is 5th Jan. We're talking about you NMPs.
Yeah.
2.5 years time. Hopefully
I think they will, because their term will end before the next election.
That's
right?
true,
so this batch more likely than not will.
They got no choice. They want to run also for what?
Nothing to run for also. Nothing to run.
Unless got another affair, then one MP kicked out, then got by-election and all like that.
But even then, they won't be. NMP won't be the prime candidate.
That's true.
You wouldn't choose So this is like, just finish the term. It can't be that difficult to just stick through with it. Right?
Stick through with it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right, man. So on to the One Shiok comment.
Yes, you have yours.
Yes, I do. So a comment on Spotify on the episode with 𝗪𝗲𝗏 of Dear Modern fame. I was a comment from 𝗬𝗲𝗏, and he said, I listened to this while drunk on Grab home, and I just have to say it was a life-changing episode with Cliff's energy and the host prompting him to explain more about his unique role. Thank you so much for getting info and perspective that I never would have experienced. Wow. Last time I remember when I was drunk on a Grab home, I would listen to like music,
Yeah.
Wow, this person listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
I feel them touched, man. Like when you're drunk, you think of us. That's so sweet.
Yeah. I think so. I think people...
Maybe there's the new drunk, the intellectual drunk.
Yeah.
Last time I was just like either watching stupid videos or just...
or running away from clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Running away from life essentially. Wow, but these people, power. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
What's your comments on our last episode 761 about the PM Wong's message for 2026, and as well as the stomp dancing on the grave of the 𝗪𝗲𝗀 restaurant. On Reddit, 𝗪𝗲𝗀 says, I'm not sure I agree with the thoughts on the stomp article. The article is critical and maybe even caustic, but you can't deny there's some truth there. 80 cents to $1 for a single canned mushroom or ultra-processed hot dog is wild. $9.20 for 𝗪𝗲𝗀 is by no means normal. What the fuck is Terrence smoking? Normal for a meal maybe, but not when you compare with like for like to other 𝗪𝗲𝗀. This is a normal neighborhood HDB block 𝗂𝗶𝘁𝗵 store, not a REIT-owned food court. It is clear the market has rejected the business even after a long successful run. So, that's the comment that we got on Reddit.
So basically calling you naive.
No, I did think about, are we speaking from a place of privilege or something when we say $9.20 is quite, to me, quite normal for a big plate, a big bowl of Yong Tau Fu already. But I remember you also said that, hey, that's like, now you add 7 or 8 things is about $9.20 or so, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so what the fuck am I smoking, Harish? Or are you also smoking the same
yeah,
thing?
we're in a hot box, what? We are smoking the same thing.
In the same room.
No, okay, you want to say that and all, but when they say single button mushroom, we don't know how many mushrooms a person got. If she posted a picture, a breakdown, then it's a different thing. But as much as you say we are smoking stuff, you also claiming stuff based on what? For as long as I can remember, 70 cents, and this was like maybe even 5, 6, 7 years ago. I remember 70 cents per Yong Tau Fu piece being par for the cost.
Yeah.
And I've definitely gotten Yong Tau Fu like $10.
Yeah, I've definitely paid. And I'm talking, neighborhood kopitiam, even in industrial estate, everything. Right? Easily paying $8, $9 at least for like a sizable amount of Yong Tau Fu.
It's always a shock, but then you look back, you're like, shit, I got 14 items.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I don't know, are we living in an alternate reality where there's some part of Singapore where you're paying $3 or $4 for Yong Tau Fu, and $9.20 seems like you and I are smoking like Venezuelan cocaine or something.
I mean, food for thought, Food for thought.
But I would love to hear people's thoughts about that, whether $9.20 is just really like out of this world.
I mean, I would still say it's expensive.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
But Yong Tau Fu is one of those that really the price scales with how much you take.
Correct. And the kind of thing you take as well. Right?
Yeah, you can get a $6 Yong Tau Fu because I think some of them, they have minimum. You can't just get one piece, right?
Yeah.
So you get $6 Yong Tau Fu, you get all the vegetables, got a lot of mass.
Yeah.
Okay lah.
Yeah.
But yeah lah.
Interesting. But let's tell us what your thoughts are about $9.20 Yong Tau Fu also lah. Right?
Yeah.
And what is your one shiok thing?
My one shiok thing is I recently started watching the White Lotus, and I'm on the first season, and it is such a interesting and weird and unsettling and uncomfortable show. It's like, and it's so good. And I mean, the nice thing is only 6 episodes, each episode like 50 plus minutes. The whole premise is like in a week at a luxury resort where they follow like 6 or 7 guests and the staff of the hotel, and some weird shit happens lah. And the writing is so good. But what especially made this my one shiok thing was the first season was filmed and released in 2021. And if you think about it, it's set in one location at a hotel resort in Hawaii, at least for season 1.
Yeah.
And you look at it, you're like, hey, shit. Actually, this is such a brilliant concept. Totally could have been done in Singapore. What's the backstory? And the backstory is that the creator, 𝗏𝗏, who had done some work for HBO, he was approached by HBO about whether they have any ideas. And if you think about it, it was around 2020, 2021, right? Which was COVID.
Yeah.
So HBO told him, okay, do you have any ideas for a single location story?
Yeah.
And that's how he came up with this. And I think when they were looking for hotels that would be willing to do this, not many of them would accept it because they would have to kind of shut down the hotel for a while. But 4 seasons said, okay, we're not getting much money otherwise. Come and film here. And even when they produced it, they gave all the actors the same baseline salary. Because at that point in time, the media industry was getting screwed, right?
Yeah.
So everybody got paid the same. And it was such a success. And when you look at it with that lens, you're like, hey, this was filmed during COVID. It's such a brilliant concept. And it made 4 seasons so happy that the next 2 seasons were also filmed at 4 seasons in Phuket and I think Europe.
Yeah.
And then now they're filming the 4th season.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, this story is, you watch it, it's just so unsettling and uncomfortable, but it's great. It is great.
So I think you're the second person after 𝗏𝗏 to recommend White Lotus as a one shiok thing.
Oh, I can't imagine watching it as someone who actually owns a hotel.
And has a friend acting in it as well.
Yeah, I watch it, I'm like, wow, imagine staying at that kind of hotel. 𝗏𝗏 is like,
you're just a nobody.
I'm a nobody.
You're just a little pawn wondering, why is the US attacking Venezuela?
Yeah, oh my God, people are like that in hotels? Oh my God. Whereas 𝗏𝗏 can say, oh yeah, I remember that guest was like this guest and all.
And the actor was his friend.
Oh yeah, that's true.
In season 3.
That's why I'm just 𝗪ci. I'm not Dr. 𝗪ci.
Yeah, just 𝗪ci.
I'm just at home 𝗪ci watching White Lotus.
Not the NMP 𝗪ci.
Not the
I think that's something you need to add to your profile next time.
Not the NMP.
Every time you're hosting events like National Day or that, hi, I'm 𝗪ci.
Oh, you're the NMP? I'm like, no. No. Oh, you're from One Banana? No.
Hey, you can rap about like heart disease, right? Can't you?
No, I can't. Okay, I can't. That's just me.
Yeah.
What about you?
My one shiok thing is a video about called What Sam Altman Doesn't Want You to Know. And it's by a YouTube channel called More Perfect Union, which apparently is a It's a non-profit news organization or newsroom, right, whose mission is to build power for working people. But I thought the video was interesting because it's a 14-minute breakdown of like basically what is Sam Altman trying to do now, right, and how will it affect regular working people like everyone, right? Basically, Sam Altman, he's operating at the levels that we're talking about, like those the levels of like basically controlling the world economy in some way, right? And essentially, this video is interesting because it actually goes into Sam Altman's history as an entrepreneur and why maybe we should think twice about trusting Sam Altman with so much power and so much money. Just again, you look at the precedents of how people have acted when they have had funding or have had power and everything. And you look at the precedents of what they promised to do, who they promised to pay and things like that, and then whether it actually happened. So I think it's a bit of a warning call about, they're sounding a warning, right, that there's a lot being promised by Sam Altman and OpenAI now, but should we, trust him and his promises? That's a big question.
Well, but his channel seems interesting. More Perfect Union.
Yeah.
You've seen videos of them?
No, this one just came up because I was looking up like a little bit about what the whole circular investments going on in OpenAI and all that are. But I think it's interesting. It's always important to look into the personal histories of the people in power, right? And understand how they're motivated and what the incentives are and all. And I did not know about Sam Altman's like first company and how it ended and things like that also. So now this is it's an interesting bit of history. Sam Altman. Yeah.
Wow, but cool. This channel, More Perfect Union, is an Emmy-winning non-profit newsroom whose mission is to build power for working people. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Cool.
All right. 2026.
Yeah. 𝗪𝗲𝗏 is back.
Just like the US and just like the NMPs, man.
Yeah.
So if you're happy we're back, it would be great if you could share this episode with at least one other person. Follow us everywhere you are listening to us right now, be it YouTube, Spotify, or any of the podcast platforms. And you can also check out our posts on social media. So Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, and Telegram. And if you want a weekly email with all our One Shiok Things from the week, you can sign up for your little bit at 𝗪𝗏𝗏.com.
And if you want to work with us, please email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out what we do on ministryoffunny.com.
Sweet. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to y'all soon.